que lean la receta no pueden porque el environment. Cuando se hace la fermentación,
Open fermentation, ¿no?
toda la bacteria, dice,
No lo
esto no lo van a
pueden
encontrar allá en el valle. Dijo. Pues agarra todo lo de las frutas y todo. Tiene todo ese. Tiene un río ahí al lado. Entonces, este es dicen que está entre un espadín y un mexicano.
A mí que me encanta el mexicano.
Está mero en medio en cómo se desarrolla y cómo crece.
Esto fue lo que Old Lining quiso hacer. Hicieron 80% mexicano y 20% Tobalá. Que fue el batch que hicieron ellos. Right. Cool. I'm rolling. Oh, okay, cool.
So, you're rolling, no?
Yeah, we use everything. Like he could cut everything.
So as I said, we are very. We have the privilege to have this mezcal in house. It's agave guarash from Tosba. It's a very, very delicious mezcal. It's hard to get. We only got a 6-pack. We've been begging the distributor to get a couple more cases. Paying a lot of money, but he said there is no more. We talked to the supplier and the mezcal maker. Said, there is more going to the states, but in a couple months. It's an unclassified agave. It takes about 6 to 7 years, just like an espadín.
Okay.
It does look like an espadín and a mexicano. So you compare apples to apples, you get confused. I don't know how they distinguish the agave, but it's agave del pueblo, which is agave of the village. It belongs to the village.
Cool.
So, cheers.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
My pleasure.
So before we started the video, I guess you took me over to the bar and we got to taste a few things, and I know how passionate you are, how excited you are about agaves. Now we have 3 bottles. I guess throughout the process of this interview or this conversation, we get to taste a few things, calm down the nerves a little bit, in case there's any.
Just like Ulises Torrentera says, the day starts after the first sip of mezcal.
So we just got started.
We just got started.
That's amazing. That's a great quote. So the reason I wanted to ask you a few questions, because I always think your story, it's amazing. I know a lot of people that, looking back at the journey, sometimes, you don't have time to tell that journey, but I got snippets of it as the time when we worked together. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was very amazing and very interesting, because everybody goes through their own struggles. Everybody has their own story. And, you have your own movie, I have my movie, and somehow when we connect, when we're working together, our movies intertwine. And then you go on to do your own thing, and I go to do my own thing. But I think it would be nice to kind of share with everyone a little bit of your story. I wanted to find out, and, for everyone's sake, like, when did you come to the United States? And, what was your first job in that transition of like your story, like when it all started?
Well, everything started back in 1996. I was having difficult problems in Mexico as far as being the leader for my family at the age of 14, 15 years old. My father is an alcoholic, or he was an alcoholic. My mom didn't work, so we didn't have any money to pay the bills, to get something to eat. I didn't have any money to go to school and continue education, and I was the oldest one of the 3 brothers, the 3 siblings. So it was the time for me to take the extra step, and I had to do something.
Be the man of the family.
So I became the man of the family, working in a bar in Oaxaca with my uncle, and it was a strip club. Bar,
For you, I bet that was tough.
It was very tough. So I opened my eyes before I became 18 years old. So working in that environment and seeing a lot of rich people getting spending money and just getting crazy, and all these strip club ambience and environments kind of wake me up, and I was making enough money, but I said this is not something that I want for my family, and either I continue education or I'm gonna be here for the rest of my life,
right.
Working in this bar and this environment. So thanks God that my uncle was here in LA already.
Okay.
So I approached him and I told him, hey, I want to go to the States. I'm only 16 years old, but I know I can cross the border. I just need you to help me to pay for the coyote. this is the situation with my family, and we're about to lose the house because my dad is in debt, he's drinking. And then when we're talking about drinking and a family member or alcoholic problems, it means my dad was lost on the streets like a homeless for weeks.
Okay, so he went in the deep end.
The story of my life is I used to, every time that my dad started drinking, I have to go and look for him on the streets and asking people, hey, have you seen my dad? Oh yeah, he was drinking with these two guys.
Yeah, I saw him the other day.
So I was used to it. But just seeing my little brother and my little sister and my mom just suffering, and I was the only one. So I took the decision. I came to the States. My uncle was here for a year. He helped me to pay the coyote. During that transition of flying from Oaxaca to Tijuana, I remember my mom that went to. She was the only one with my aunt to go to the airport, and my dad he knew he was coming. I was coming to the state, and I was leaving. It was time for me to leave to departure, but he was just hiding behind the house. He wasn't sure, and he didn't see like I was leaving. He knew about the problem, but he didn't want to face the problem. So I left Oaxaca back in 1996. I got to Tijuana. Everything had a plan. I got to Tijuana to this famous hotel. It's Hotel Leyva. It's one of the most dangerous hotels in Tijuana until then. So the instructions that I had from my uncle was, just get to the hotel, get a room, and then someone's going to go and pick you up and they're going to cross you.
Okay.
So I was really hungry when I got to the hotel. That was nighttime, and I had to go to the street.
How old were you?
I was 16.
Okay, wow.
So I went to the street, and I started seeing all these Tijuana scenes, like tacos, prostitution, drugs, gang members, just right there on the street. So Oaxaca, it's safe, but it's not like Tijuana back in the days. So I wasn't used to see all these things going on the street.
Was Tijuana like a cartel capital?
It was
Okay.
still is the cartel
got
capital.
it.
So back in the days, Tijuana was considered one of the most dangerous city in Mexico.
Okay.
And that
I can only
district,
imagine
yeah.
back then.
So I was walking on the street, and everybody was looking at me like, this a little guy. It's not from here. He's probably crossing the border. So I just went to get some grilled chicken, off the street, and I just went back to the hotel. So they picked me up. They took me to the van with another 10 guys, including girls. So we crossed the border, whatever, and then right in the middle of the desert, we noticed that the driver was either lost or he was being persecuted. So thanks God that at that particular time, we got caught, and then we didn't have any more water, and it was really hot in the desert. So a couple of the girls were passing out, were crying because they were scared. So when they opened the van, they saw 12 of us just laying down, and they sent us back to TJ, back to Mexico. I don't think it was TJ because I was last after they sent us back. One of the things that helped me was that I was underage, so it wasn't.
They weren't pressing any charges, or you were in trouble.
They sent me back home.
You were a
But
kid.
I was concerned because I said, well, fuck, I fell. Like, what's
That was
next?
my only chance.
And then now my uncle doesn't know where I am. I do have his number, but the phone call was not going through. Anyway, so two of the people that were sent back to Mexico, there were two people from Mexico City, and they said, don't worry, we have plenty of experience. We're
gonna do it again.
So we did it again. We passed the border through Arizona. So now I'm in Arizona, right?
Okay.
That was not the plan. The plan was I have to be delivered to LA. So I stayed there with a couple of friends of my uncle in Arizona. So another friend went to pick me up from LA to Arizona.
Okay.
So when he got there, he said the only problem is that we have to fly back to LA. I'm not
How
gonna
did you
drive.
fly with any documents?
Well, I don't know what they did in the airport. They bought the two tickets under my friend's name and also the other guy's name. And then when we were checking in, they said, just go.
Oh, they
just
probably
go.
had somebody else's ID.
Uh,
And they borrow an ID from another friend, and they say like, "You are this person. This is your age. Memorize that." Probably.
They just told me just go now. And then I just went to the station and I crossed the checkpoint and I was.
It's also 1996, right?
Yeah, 1996.
There's a lot of things that were getting smuggled. You're the least of their worries.
Correct. So and I was a little kid, and they bought me nice tennis shoes, buy clothes. So
you didn't attract any attention.
Yeah, correct. At one point, I was looking like an American kid.
Okay.
Mexican American. So I got to the airplane, and then when we were on the airplane, I was just recording everything that I have gone through, and I told my friend like, "What's next once we get to LA?" He said, "Once we get to LA, walk away 25 feet away from me, because if you get caught, I don't want to get in trouble. I'm doing you a favor," which is great.
Right.
So he said, "Just pretend that you're reading a newspaper, and then if you see any of the security guys or any officers, just keep walking. Don't look at them." I did see a couple of security guards and immigration officers.
Scary.
It was very scary. He said, "I'm already in LA." So I was walking to the airport, and this tall American guy walked by me, and he started staring at me while I was just looking at the newspaper. Kept walking, and I got the swinging doors open, and my friend said,
We're good.
"We're good." So I got here to LA with my uncle. We were sleeping about 8 to 9 people.
I feel like I need a drink. This is very. I wasn't expecting this story. This is very intense because things are pretty real. I always admire your drive, and you're always pushing.
Finish that one. I guess at that point, Mezcal wasn't what it was. That's another topic. So nobody knew about Mezcal. Now that I remember back in those days. Anyway, back to the topic. It's
so you cross the double doors.
Yeah, I closed the border door and my friend said, "You're already in LA. We made it. So congratulations." And then I started looking at all these big buildings, different people, different cultures. Just walking out the airport, it was just okay. I'm in the States. This is where everything's gonna start now. So I got to the apartment where my uncle was living, and it was a single apartment, just a small studio, a small kitchen,
right.
1 bedroom, and then we have about 8 guys sleeping there.
Right. New York was the same thing. Everybody, it's a commodity.
So
survival.
All of those guys were older friends that were just here for a couple years, making money, double jobs.
Right.
Working.
Everyone's working. You take shifts to sleep. Like
Exactly.
somebody's sleeping in the bed, it's like also taxi drivers. Some of them do the same thing.
Oh.
Somebody rents an apartment, you sharing the same bed. This person's working during the day, this other person's working at night. So when you're working, the other person's sleeping, and when you come home, it's just the only way to save money.
The only problem is that I was 16. They were already 30s, 40s, and they were already have a family. Just they have their plan sets. Okay, I'm gonna make some money, go back to Mexico, and that's it. I was confused, and I think that's one of the problems that we have here in America as immigrants, that you get confused, and then you start too young. You can have depression as well, and all the problems that come through it. So I was confused. My uncle recommended me to go to high school. I was still in a good age. I got all the paperwork. So I went to high school. I decided to work for Carl's Jr. as a dishwasher. My first job after a couple weeks. I used to go to Home Depot just to see if anybody needed any help.
Right.
The first couple of weeks, because I didn't have a job. So I said, no, I need to start making money now. So I used to go to Home Depot and see if anybody needed help. And there is some construction guys that are waiting to be picked up, and pay hourly. But I was too young. Everybody was looking at me. This guy is not going to be able to lift a chair, So I just decided to go to school, and then I was working, full time at the same time. So Saturday and Sundays, I used to work 8, 12-hour shifts back in the days because I didn't go to school, so I needed to make more hours to send money to Mexico.
And school's the only free thing you get.
Correct.
It doesn't matter if you have documents, because it happened to me. Doesn't matter if you're illegal. College is a whole different thing. You have to pay cash up front.
Exactly.
But high school, junior high school, everybody welcomes you, which is the amazing thing about being here.
And one of the
And you get fed in school as well.
I used to eat, the lunches provided by the LAUSD. So we used to get a little milk, a little soup or hamburger. That was my lunch because I didn't have money to have in my apartment,
Right,
pay for food and have a nice dinner,
Right.
or nice lunch. So I used to wake up, make money from Carl Jr. After 6-7 months, I learned the basic English through the ESL classes. The good thing about this that in high school back in the days, we did have a good generation of, especially people or kids from Oaxaca coming to the States with their families. And then we have a good generation as ESL classes. And then we kind of make a good group and talking to everybody and helping to learn the language here in the States. The only difference is that I didn't have my family here. I didn't have any support, right? So I was just by myself. So after 6-7 months, I started looking for a second job. So I started in Baja Fresh back in 1997.
What position was it?
It was just a cashier, boss boy.
How was your English then?
It was very bad.
Okay.
Still, I didn't know how to say certain things. People had a hard time to understand the basic.
16 is a tough age, like 17, because you already know Spanish, right? And it's a little bit harder than being like 11 or 10.
And as I said, it wasn't an excuse, but I was here by myself. So
Absolutely.
I was running my rent by myself, my money by myself, and I still have to see for my family in Mexico.
You're sending money over to Mexico. Got it.
$100, $200 a month. It wasn't a lot, but it was what my family needed.
Yeah.
So I started in Baja Fresh. And the general manager who hired me, he gave me the opportunity to start as a cashier without even having good English.
Okay, that's amazing.
So we started practicing English. We started practicing interaction with customers, interacting with other employees, and that's how I stayed, and I learned the language. After a year of becoming a cashier in Baja Fresh, I became a shift manager. And then that's where I noticed that my passion was restaurant business.
That's amazing.
It was restaurant business because my father used to have a body shop, and he used to put me to work on my free time in summer vacations. And I told my dad, I hate this job. I'm not going to do it. So he said, you really hate it. I want you to learn that this is what happens when you don't go to school, and this is what happens when you don't work hard for your dreams. You're going to be stuck here. And then you go and get an oil change eventually. At least they're not gonna rip you off because you know what an oil change takes. You know what how to change a tire. But I started, I thanks my dad for that because it opened up my mind, my brain, and developing different ideas how to resolve problems on my own. So after becoming a shift manager, working at the age of 18 years old, going to high school. I was invited to be part of the soccer team in high school, but I declined because I have to work, and that was one of the opportunities that I let go because I used to love soccer back in the days, play soccer. But I say either I work.
You're still a kid, and you don't get to play sports because I have to
work.
Be an adult.
Correct. So. And then when I used to get to the apartment, it was the day off for some of the guys, and they were drinking, they were, just having fun. So this is, I was confused. It was like, fuck, I don't get to sleep because these guys are drinking. They're in a different generation. They're going back to Mexico soon. It's hard to make money. So I started looking for an apartment. It was hard because I didn't have any papers, whatever, no credits. I was ripped off by a guy as well because he promised me to get my driver license, and then me and my friends from high school, we went all the way to Palm Springs to the DMV. We got the certificate, and then he said, with that certificate, now you can go to Santa Monica, and they're gonna have your information. So we pay him back in the days, it was a lot of money. We pay him $1,000 to try to get the driver license. Because having the driver license back then, it was going to open the doors for us for other opportunities.
Else, That's your ID.
Yeah.
That's your identification that you're okay to be here.
So we pay him $1,000. He said, it's done deal. Now you go to Santa Monica, and they're gonna give you the appointment. You pass the reading test, the other test, and then you get your license.
Okay.
So I got to Santa Monica, and I asked him, what about it? They asked him for Social Security, and he said, just show them what you have in your wallets, which it was a fake Social Security.
So that didn't work out.
So it didn't work out, but I got to Santa Monica. I was a kid, and they asked me for the Social Security. So I showed that to the lady, and the next time I knew I was being arrested at the DMV.
Oh, they arrested you?
They arrested me.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they arrested me. So they took me to the little room, and then they took all my fingerprints, and they sent me to court for showing fake IDs, and Social Security cards to an agency. Anyway, that popped up until I was trying to fix paper later on. So I didn't get my license. This guy, we never heard from him. He got $1,000 for free from me and from my friend. So they rip us off. First Christmas in the States, I was just drinking a Coca-Cola bottle and a little bread from Ralph's. That was my dinner for Christmas. And all the guys, went to work. I was just by myself. I called my mom and said, hey, what are you guys doing? Oh, we're doing, the usual.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing the usual. We have a chicken and barbacoa here. We miss you. And that's when I decided to say, I'm quitting. Like, I'm going back to Mexico.
Right.
Like, fuck.
And you also don't want to worry anyone back home.
Yeah.
Which I still think to this day is the biggest misconception. Everybody in Colombia or Mexico think that you live as a king here when you come
Exactly.
here. They expect things to get sent back, because it happens in our culture, and it's our pride, and also we don't want to worry our family. Because the next thing they're gonna say is like, just come back. Because
Exactly.
you could always come back. Anytime. It's a free flight.
Yes. So I was eating for dinner little bread and bottle of Coca-Cola. That was my dinner. Not even turkey or ham, nothing. Because I didn't have money. I didn't have a kitchen in the apartment. So I said, I gotta eat this and fuck it. That's how I learned. Like, this is the States. This is how you start. This is how you're gonna suffer. This is the life that you're
Everybody's
gonna
going through that process.
So I went through that process, and I continued working for Baja Fresh. The manager who hired me kept supporting me, going to school, working with my schedule. And then 2 years later, when I was probably 19, they offered me the assistant manager at 19 years old. Then
Amazing.
at 20, I got my first location in West LA, which was one of the new ones. And then they invited me to be a general manager at the age of 20.
They really believed in you.
Yeah, so I went to the interview with the owners face to face. They loved it. They knew who I was. They gave me this, $55,000 salary back in the days.
It's a good salary.
And they said you can still go to school like you want
amazing.
to, as long as you comply with your job. So at the age of 20, I was general manager, and I was running a 3 million store, 3 million sales store.
A lot of responsibility.
About 40 employees, going to meetings, and all these general managers back in the days that were looking at me like, this little guy, what he's doing on the table with all these experienced people.
This guy that's really hungry. They don't know that.
So, and in those days, Baja Fresh was the best Mexican casual concept. We totally disappeared La Salsa back in the days. So La Salsa was closing the stores because
That was their competition?
we were taking over,
Right.
without knowing that
You were doing something good.
Yeah, but without knowing that someone was going to replace us eventually,
Okay.
because we didn't continue the innovation. And that's what I said in restaurant business. Innovation is part of the process every
Staying
single day.
alive. You have to evolve.
So La Salsa started closing the stores because we were closing the stores. We were opening the stores right across the street from them. We were not afraid of La Salsa anymore. We were the new thing. And then I became very proud to work for Baja Fresh. As a manager, I was representing the brand. I used to do a lot of fundraisers, a lot of sales increase, a lot of catering business. I learned a lot of catering business. I became the leader in catering businesses in LA with that particular
Which
store.
is crucial for a
Yeah,
restaurant.
we were making a lot of catering
Yeah.
sales.
That could be 10 to 15% of your revenue.
I used to go across the street with the retail shopping centers like Best Buy and Marshalls, and I used to stand up with a little table with the POPs and the branding, the Baja, and giving tickets to the people. Hey, we're around the corner, coming business, because at that time it was everybody about who was having the best sales.
In all the stores.
In all the
Okay,
stores,
got
and
it.
I was beating them like boom, boom, boom.
You're beating everyone. From
Yeah.
how many other stores?
From back in the days, it was another 7 stores.
Okay, so you were competing.
I was
You were
competing
one
with
for the
people that
race.
were 40, 45 years old and
More experience?
More experience,
But not as hungry, probably.
but not as hungry. I was very hungry, working overtime, working 3 hours. I didn't care. I just wanted to be successful, and I think that's one of the keys. Invest in your career. I was investing on my career without knowing that was gonna be alive for me until now. So after I increased sales and they saw all these, different skills that I have for marketing, they invited me to be. They were opening more stores. They invited me to be the assistant regional manager, and I was gonna be in charge of 12 locations with the main guy. I was gonna be his assistant. So that's when the problem started. Why? Because I didn't have a license. The other managers were kind of jealous because they have, more years working for the company and they didn't get picked.
You didn't have a license as a driver's license?
Yeah,
or?
driver license.
Okay. So you couldn't get around?
I couldn't get around, and they needed to have a license because I was gonna go store to store, driving with a company car policy, and they wanted to be insured. So they gave me a week to figure it out. One of the guys told me, I have relatives in Washington State. They give you the license without Social Security, so go over there, So I went there driving by myself without a license, without anybody, just myself. I took my car. It was 16 hours drive.
Wow, it's brave.
By myself, and then I got there. The family was waiting for me. At that time, we didn't have any MapQuest or any driving applications.
Just pulling up the map.
Yeah, just pulling up the map, and then I was scared to be lost in Portland because there was a lot of freeways. So I got to my destiny, and then the family was waiting for me, and they said, "Okay, let's make an appointment." I went the next day. I passed the appointment for the rating test, and I only have 1 week to go back to LA. And they said, "Unfortunately, we don't have any other appointments for practical tests, so you gotta wait 2 weeks. So unless you do a standby, and you can
show
come
up
in the next 5 days, and then if anybody doesn't show up, then you're next." So I went the second day, and the second appointment didn't show up. So I was just
Amazing.
ready with the car. Not
Let's do
driving
it.
in the Washington State at all. I didn't know the laws because it's a little bit different from California. So he said, "Okay, you passed it. Boom, here's your ticket." And then coming back to California, with a license,
But you were less stressed.
I was less stressed. And then I got the position, to be assistant regional manager. And then I started opening a couple more stores with them, helping them. We opened Century City, we opened Hollywood Boulevard,
Nine.
Sunset and Vine.
Ten.
So we started getting involved, and then we opened La Brea and Santa Monica, West Hollywood.
11.
And then we opened Sherman Oaks.
So that's 12 stores.
12 stores, max, to the max.
And you were managing them all.
I was managing with another guy.
Got it.
Now, the other guy, something happened. He decided to go to another state. And then my boss said, you're taking the position. And I was only 22.
Wow,
And
this
you-
is a fast career.
Yeah. And then so you're gonna manage my 12 locations, top of the market, because Baja Fresh was top of the market back then. It was the best franchise group in the States.
No pressure. As a 22-year-old.
No pressure. And then
I remember the reputation. Baja Fresh was.
Yeah, it was the king of the fast casual back in the 1995s. That's when it started, 2005. We were right to the top. We started hearing about Chipotle until 2009, 2008, coming to Southern California, but they were still afraid of coming to the market because we were very strong.
Right. No, that makes sense.
And then for me, I didn't have to worry about Chipotle opening one store across the street from us because our concept was very strong.
Right.
Our operations were very strong. So,
but in addition to that, remember you mentioned before they added 2 more concepts, new concepts.
Yeah. So
just because you didn't have enough to do,
we didn't have enough to do, and then my
enough
two
in
bosses,
your plate, yeah.
my
Also,
2 bosses were all about restaurant business too, and then. You know how the restaurant business has changed from 2007 to 2017. These 2 guys, they have a lot of experience, a lot of connections in the restaurant business, a lot of reputation. And I never understand why they didn't do their own concept, why they had to franchise other concepts. But that was the market back in 2007,
right?
Everybody wanted to franchise the hot spots,
right.
the hot concepts. So they start franchising the counter burgers, which was a build your own burger with more than 2,000 different combinations.
Which is extremely difficult. Even to get a burger at the right temperature,
yeah.
already has so much factors.
Exactly.
Involved.
So we were doing okay with Baja. We were making about $25 million in sales for the 12 Baja Freshers, up to 30 million. So I was managing the whole thing.
Oh.
The only thing that I wasn't able to manage was the leases or the lease for any store, but I was in the meetings, I was involved with the 2 bosses, learning, experiencing, I was just paying attention.
20s.
Okay, boom.
Right, learning.
This is how you negotiate a lease, this is how you negotiate better offers, etc. So we started getting involved with the counter burger, and they said, you focus on the Bajas, we're going to open the 2 counter burgers, we'll let you know if we need your help. And I asked them twice. I have a vacation plan for the first time to go to Oaxaca because I finally got my green card and I want to go to Oaxaca. Do you need help opening this new restaurant?
What year was this?
2006. 10
Okay.
years. 10 years later, I get to visit my family and getting my green card.
Right. So I'm sure you were really excited.
I was really excited, but I was very excited for the new adventures of the company because I show a lot of passion and a lot of love for this company.
And you still kept all the other Baja Fresh afloat and doing great sales. And again, you were very competitive and very hungry. So I'm sure you elevated.
It got to a point where I had to tell the company we need to buy a transportation for the catering orders because I came out with an 800 number for caterings that was only for us.
Wow.
Everybody was calling on my phone to place catering orders. I used to manage them all and say, okay. I used to work in a team with my managers. I used to say, hey, we have an order for $2,000 tomorrow. This is the order. Make sure everybody gets in time. I'll
so
get there.
The location that you're calling the manager that has the location closest to that place.
Yeah, I was managing everything because I have the best area, If they call me from Sherman Oaks, I have a location in Sherman Oaks. Beverly Hills, I have all the locations in the city.
You're picking up the calls, doing 2 people's jobs. You're picking up the calls for the caterings, and you're also managing all the locations.
And I was also delivering all the big caterings because I wanted to ensure that the food...
Have that face-to-face.
Yeah, face-to-face, and then start making all these connections.
Yeah.
At one point where the customers or the point of contact were like, hey, they used to call me or text me, I need the same order that you have last time.
So you were the guy, they're talking to the owner, quote unquote, right? Like you're the guy, it's just familiar, I don't have to explain it again, it's just one phone call away, you're taken care of.
Yeah, so we started making about, to be honest, $20,000 a week in catering sales. I was putting everything in my truck. And I asked my boss, hey, it's time to get a lease for a new van. So we got a van, and then still using my truck, caterings all over, great sales. Then we start getting involved with the counter. So I said, no, we don't need your help. We got a general manager, he's in training, he went to the counter, we're gonna open West Hollywood. And then I went to Oaxaca after 2 weeks coming back. They said, we need you at the counter, it's a mess, the opening didn't go well, long ticket times.
Because it's burgers.
Yeah. The servers, full service, beer and wine, different. I didn't go to training, so they took the decision to let the general manager go.
Wow, that's very...
And then I took over without training, without knowing about the concept, and that's how I learned the concept by
You see what's wrong and what doesn't work, and it doesn't make sense.
It was just a lot of stuff going on, and then I guess the kitchen guys, they think, okay, there is more communication with this guy.
And you're also bilingual. You speak Spanish.
Yeah, and then they notice that I understand the kitchen as well. So we started fixing that location. I learned the concept, and the vice president of the counter, he said, "You still gotta go to training because we're gonna open a couple more." So I went to training for one of the training stores for a couple weeks. I got the concept. I learned it. We opened the second location in Marico Mayo, and then my boss said, "I want you to be directing the opening now."
Right, so to do it right.
Yeah, we made a mistake, so this is a big investment, 6,000 square feet, full bar.
Wow.
So we opened Marico Mayo in 2012, if I'm not mistaken. Everybody was, even the president of the company was, the vice president, the president, investors, everybody was nervous about Marico Mayo because it's a big launch route.
And it's also like right after depression and things are not the recession, things haven't picked up properly. Nobody knows what's going on.
After the mess in Hollywood and West Hollywood, we don't want to see a mess in Marico Mayo because of our reputation. So we did $5,000 launch the first day.
Wow. And that's big for a lunch. That's huge.
That's huge.
A lunch is usually 1,000, maybe 1,200, 1,500, and that's a steady lunch.
We did a great teamwork. I put the best expo at the window. I told the general manager, just focus on the front. I manage both. You don't have to deal with anything else. Just focus on the front. I talked to the kitchen manager. This is the plan. We're expecting a big launch. Start making patties, cooking patties. So at one point we're gonna get crashed. We have a plan. And then when my expo got, hit at the window, I went to the window running food.
It's the orchestra, right? Yeah, you have this guy there. You know when to swing the.
And it was very fun for me.
Right.
And then when we worked to the peak hours, there was 30 people waiting in line for this new concept. And so we're almost there, one more hour, and then this is going to be very successful. And it was successful because we planned.
Right.
And I had the experience as well, and I was involved since the beginning. So we did 5,000. Everybody was very, very happy with the opening. We were making, for a casual full service, back in 2012, we were making $65,000 a week, 70,000. So after that, the owners of the franchise, they asked me to be an investor because they really wanted to keep me happy.
Right.
But we're also opening a third location in downtown. But in 2012, that's when Baja started changing hands, corporate.
What does that mean?
So the Baja Fresh corporate was bought out.
Oh.
And it was bought out by a guy that didn't have any restaurant experience.
Got it.
So he said, all I care is about the bottom line.
Right, numbers. You trim the fat so much that then you hit the bone.
And then Chipotle was expecting that. And then it was on all the news, it was on all the magazines.
So that was the opportunity for
Baja
them to jump in.
sold to Sweet Factory, a non-restaurant experience, 400 locations. And he's trying to take Baja Fresh to the next level.
So then is that when Chipotle came in?
Chipotle didn't wait. He saw that the guy didn't have experience.
Right.
He started changing everything, pre-diced, pre-cooked. It was nasty. 3 months. After 3 months, we have a members meeting with the CEO of Baja Fresh. My bosses were involved, all the franchise groups. Hey, this is a disaster. We're getting the rice pre-cooked, pre-packaged, the cheese, everything pre-packaged because he wanted to save labor. And he said, no, let's go back to
the old way.
The old way.
Once you lose your customers' trust, and then there's a new kid on the block.
But it was only 3 months. Chipotle had already leases in LA, signed up. Beverly Hills, they're in La Cienega.
They're everywhere.
They noticed the mistake. Said these guys are done. Like they made a mistake. We're gonna go with everything. Try to get those clients back is like trying to get the Titanic out of the water and making it work.
It's a good analogy.
So it was too late for Baja. And then 2 years later, their first location started closing down.
Yeah.
Their first 2 locations started closing down.
So it was right away a big change.
Yeah, the only thing that was keeping us alive was the catering businesses. It was at one point it was 50% of our sales.
Which is what you built.
Yeah, it's what I built.
So what happened when they offered you the partnership? The partnership was for...
Well, I invested it, they were inviting different investors. I was one of them for the new location.
And it's also an honor, right?
Correct.
You're an employee, you get this opportunity. Like, this is the American dream. You get to own something that's successful.
Exactly.
That everybody knows about, and you're part of it.
So when we were planning the opening of the third location, my boss started introducing me like, this is my right hand. This guy is my right hand.
Yeah.
He's gonna look after me, and then he's an investor as well. I feel more appreciated.
Yeah.
And he knew that I had the passion to take care of the business. Since the beginning, when I started the position, I always started acting like a boss, like an owner of the business, without getting paid as an owner.
Right.
And I think that's what life, is paying me back now. I'm so used to the owner,
The stress.
phone calls.
As a leader, you take all the blame, but then you give everybody all the credit.
Correct. And you're always learning. You always have all the liability. You always making mistakes, and you always have all this stress, 24/7 phone calls. But it's a lifestyle for a restaurant business. And
Right.
when you're really into it, you won't see it as a problem. You will see it as an adventure.
Yeah. Every day is a different day.
Exactly.
And you just take it one at a time.
And that's what I love about restaurant business. We can be drinking mezcal here. Later on, I have another meeting for catering. Tomorrow, I might have another meeting for something else.
Right. Or there might be 50 people are about to walk through here and we have to stop this.
Correct. Exactly.
Because you have to go and help out the dishwasher or watch some glassware or put some chairs, or you just never know.
Yeah, correct.
It's so unpredictable.
So unpredictable, or the kitchen might be backed up and we have to jump into the kitchen.
Absolutely. You know every job in your own place.
Yeah.
It's like your house.
And then, or one of my guests wants to talk to me, I gotta make time. And,
Absolutely.
So after I see Baja Fresh, being in decline, I said it's time to move on. So I started looking for small restaurants online. Very hard to start your own business. Very hard. Even though I knew the restaurant business, I always told my friends, no, I will never open mine. It's too much liability, too much money.
Up front, yeah.
And then maybe no profits.
And you're signing a lease for 10 years.
Yeah. And
Like
then you have family, you have a mortgage,
right.
whatever.
You could go in debt really, really quickly.
So I found this location, which I only visited once back in the days, and it's my first location that I opened in Palms, Culver City area, El Nopal, famous El Nopal.
What was it famous for?
It was famous for being one of the first Tex-Mex Mexican American food in the West Side.
Okay.
So they opened back in the 70s with their famous pregnant burrito.
Pregnant burrito. I remember when I met you.
Yeah.
And people will come in and still say like, "Oh, you guys still have the pregnant burrito?"
Yeah.
And it's like, "Yes, we do."
So that was another learning experience. I went to this restaurant before I took over because I used to live around the corner. I only ate once and I never went back. It's terrible food.
Right.
I never went back, and just the destiny. Now it's your restaurant. After 5 years of visiting the restaurant the first time, I was looking into it to buy it.
Oh, really?
So
what year was this?
This one was 2012, the ending of 2012. Cheers.
Cheers. I'm all done.
So this is the
Your
garage.
stories has me like wrapped onto the table. Hearing all these things, I'm like, man, I had it easy. I almost cried. Like I was anxious. It's just a lot.
But for me, it was just natural to go through all these struggles.
Right. I mean, because you're brave and you just get tougher as you go.
So they wanted $60,000 for the restaurant. Beer and wine, 1970.
$60K.
$60K. I was getting confused if, hey, should I keep my job and open my restaurant? Should I quit my job?
You leave the stability to go into something that's so risky. Well, it's about to take off for you. 10 years that you put into this business.
Correct. No AC in the kitchen, no floor drains because it was a grandfather inn. What is called grandfather inn it's been open since before the 90s.
So all the new rules by health department, they don't apply unless you could take the business, right?
You can take
but
the
if
business.
you don't close it, you still could operate it.
You don't close it for more than 90 days, you can still operate it, and you gotta respect that.
Right.
But if you close it for more than 3 months,
then you have to reapply for everything. That
and
means
it's opening a restaurant from scratch, pretty
right,
much.
which could cost you anywhere like north of $400,000
And
just
that's-
doing repairs.
Yeah, and
while
then-
you're paying rent.
And then you still gotta pay rent.
Right.
And
That it doesn't it come out every month.
landlords don't care. Oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, and then now we're closed for more than 90 days. No, you sign the lease, it's your lease. So you have to know what you're doing. You have to do your homework. I took over. We kept the same menu, beer and wine. I didn't have any more money to invest in remodeling and investing in a liquor license.
It's harsh for somebody that wants, most people want to change and this is my new menu and shock everyone, but it takes a lot for someone to really like bite their lips and stick with something that they don't believe in, but then you have a vision that you know like in the future this place will be better and it will be better for the guests, it will be better for me as a human being that could feel proud of something, right?
Yeah, and then I remember the owners of the restaurant before we closed the deal. They said, "You will be an idiot if you change the menu, if you change the concept. Just continue what we're doing because the only reason that we want to sell is because we want to move out of state."
Okay, it's very cocky.
I said,
Like,
"Yeah, okay, I
sure,
respect you."
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, this is how you make the famous pregnant burrito.
Which the pregnant burrito is just an oversized, like super-sized me burrito,
It
right?
was salty shredded chicken with chopped onions, avocado. You wrap it because I learned how to make it. You wrap it. You put a lot of restaurant depot enchilada sauce,
Oh my god.
and then melted cheese. It was that was the pregnant because it was fat. It was big. A lot of melted cheese. People like that.
For people that have the munchies.
Yeah. And then back in 2012, Palms was still in evolution. The area was still in evolution, so we were getting a lot of old customers from the 90s, from the 80s, used to that pregnant burrito.
Okay.
So I was a little skeptical.
How long was that place around? Because I don't think you mentioned that before. El Nopal.
El Nopal was around until I changed the name last year. It was probably around for the 70s, 30, for 45 years.
Wow. That's scary
years.
to change anything from a business that's been around for that long.
Yeah.
Because they're doing something right.
Correct. So I decided to change the menu. I decided to change it to Oaxacan because that's the only food that I know how to make, right? I can take in mind that I could be one of the most successful guys in fast casual if I would decide to do a copy of Baja Fresh.
Right. You could have copy and pasted, but it just doesn't
Easy.
feel right, right?
So this is not what I want to offer. I gotta show our culture, different food. There is plenty competitors for fast casual, so I want to open a full service. So I changed it to Oaxacan. No marketing, nothing. Beer and wine only. And I keep saying beer and wine because that's another story. We have a lot of rejection from the old customers. We don't know what Oaxacan is. We don't know mole. We don't care about mole. We
People
want the
don't like
pregnant
change.
burrito.
Yeah.
And my mistake there is I wasn't brave enough. So my mistake was there not to change the name out. I was skeptical. I said I still need this old generation.
The customers.
Yeah. To keep the cash flow. Because I
Right.
gotta pay rent while I gain new customers.
Well, what most people don't know is that, labor, you can't put that on credit.
Correct.
You have to pay for your labor in cash. So your kitchen, the front of the house, back of the house, kitchen guys, your waiters, you have to pay them in cash. So
I call it a down payment. Yeah.
the down payment,
The down
right?
payment.
And it's every 2 weeks.
Every 2
And
weeks.
you might have to have like anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000 in cash
In this case, now here is 45,000
every 2 weeks.
every 2 weeks, plus workers' comp and insurance every 2 weeks. Workers' comp is one of the most, I would say, one of the most stupid ways to steal money from business, and that's in the industry. And every restaurant owner will tell you the same. They're just stealing our money, to be honest. Workers' comp, because if you have an accident and then you report it, they're gonna increase your premium. Now, what it used to be $2,000 a month, $2,000 every 2 weeks is gonna be $2,700 because you have an injury.
Right. And
I'll explain you this later, but it's one of the most stupid ways for restaurant owners to waste our money.
well, you're giving money away.
Yeah, every 2 weeks.
Quote unquote, if something happens.
Now, if I decide to pay my chef because he deserves it, $25 an hour, what stops me is on top of those $25, I gotta pay workers' comp on those $25.
The premium, which could range from anywhere between like 6 to 9%.
I'd rather pay him $18 because I still gotta get workers' comp, and that's how you stop, giving more incentives or a better salary to your employees, because it's like another tax section there.
Yeah.
And it's so it doesn't make sense for restaurant business, because you can open a restaurant today, no experience, because your dad has money and then he gives you $1.5 million. Here's make your dream possible.
Okay.
You have no experience, and then we have experience where we started as a dishwasher, you name it. A lot of friends started from the bottom, like from bartender. Now you have your own
learn
company.
every single job,
every single step, every single race, every single
position,
job.
yeah.
Working in the industry for more than 50 years. Now you have this guy with daddy's money opening his restaurant in Venice, and he doesn't know anything. He invested all the money. He hired consultants. He hired a chef. Nice concept. He invested in all the opening furniture. And on the first 2 months, he has 2 workers' comps because he doesn't know how to follow procedures. He doesn't know the safety in the kitchen. So he reports, fuck it. I have insurance.
I'm going to report it.
I'm going to report it. What happens there? It keeps hurting the industry, because the restaurant business right now is the most dangerous industry environment.
Also, when alcohol is involved, it goes a little bit up.
So now the insurances are telling us, you're in the restaurant business, no matter what, your premium is going to be high because so many accidents in the industry.
Right. Then we don't know you. You're a first customer.
Yeah. So why should I be considered the same as a guy that doesn't have any restaurant experience? My background doesn't
affect it at all.
Yeah.
Right.
So the industry keeps being affected for all these inexperienced people. Keep reporting. And what happened?
So it's a catch-20, it goes back around.
What happens? We continue in business, but they might decide to close after 2 years because their premium is too high. On top of all these mistakes, the restaurant is not working. It's not the right concept. They close, but they already hurt the industry.
Because they fall into that category of accidents.
Restaurant bars, accidents. So right now,
I didn't know that.
So the industry is one of the highest industry, with the highest risks. So coming up the door, when you go to your broker and they say, "Oh, I want to get a workers' comp on a $20,000 payroll," oh, this is going to be your premium.
Oh, my workers' comp went up this year, even after 3 years of business and no accidents. And I try to negotiate it down and say, no, it's going up, but it had nothing to do with me.
It's just the industry.
It's just the industry.
So
I get it. It's other people making mistakes in the industry.
So I think they should have like a parameter for someone opening or applying for a license for a restaurant. They should check their background, just like they check for other businesses. We should have a license for restaurant owners, to be honest. Just like you go and get a company as a contractor or electrician,
you have to get a license.
Get a license as a restaurant owner so you can see what the restaurant is about. At least the basics.
It's not a bad idea. 10 minutes. Let's go back into, so you bought this restaurant, you took it over, you had the pregnant burrito. It was everything against like the Oaxacan culture. It was Mexican, Americanized Mexican food. You have all this 10 years of experience. You're biting your tongue to make any changes, because any change could drastically change, as you noticed from Baja Fresh when somebody took it over and started making changes. You already have, the experience of like, this could go south very quickly and I could be out of business and I'm stuck with a lease.
Correct.
So having that fear, but also having the vision of like, this is where I want to be.
And also the fear of, having a mortgage, having a family that depends on you, it's hard. So I kept to my idea, I stayed to my idea, I changed the menu. We got a lot of bar reviews on Yelp for changing the menu. They were calling me idiot, stupid, this guy with no experience changing the menu after 30 years. All these customers, so I said, "Fuck! I made the mistake of my life. I'm done. Like they're killing me on Yelp." And I called Yelp and I said, "This is my corporation. This is my menu. I'm a new owner. Please change it. It's not the same." I said, "No, you kept the same name. It's the same profile. So all those reviews are legit."
So what do you do next?
Well, I just kept working hard, making everybody happy, and then until I started seeing a couple reviews that really changed my motivation. And then, oh, we're happy that this owner changed the menu. You know, we were tired of the old pregnant burrito. Finally, we have something on palms that is real Mexican.
And people want to explore the culture, like
Correct.
new cultures, without having to travel.
I never had Oaxacan experience before. Now I
Right, for $25, you get to have a Oaxaca meal,
or even less.
or even less. Between two, I'm thinking about like two people, and then rather than going to Oaxaca and travel to actually get that homemade meal.
Yeah.
And everybody's very open to that.
Correct. So, and then also the neighborhood start changing
Right.
with apartments, getting new people.
Right, all the
from
buildings
different
that were-
cities,
yeah,
all the
I remember.
buildings, the metro station. So new people arrive to Palms and start just changing, and then
So did you, right? Slowly changing things here
changing
and
the
there.
menu, and then I started getting confident with catering. So I said my only solution right now is catering. To step
To
up.
build up the business.
So I went to knock doors. I went to UCLA, which I knew them. They said, "Oh, we don't know about Oaxaca. Let me see." Got back to you next month again. Finally, someone opened the door and said, "Yeah, let's try it." So they try it. They loved it.
And then you get a second call, third
Second call, boom, boom. Say, "Oh, we want to put you in the system as a vendor.
Nice.
This is the paperwork that I
Recurring
need."
business.
Boom, boom. And then word of mouth, word of mouth, word of mouth. And being consistent, professional, getting there on time.
So you're building that foundation again from your experience.
Yeah, Century City offices, Santa Monica offices. Boom. It was a boom with catering again.
So catering is taken care of. Then you have your beer and wine license, right? Then you won your liquor license in a raffle.
I won I won the liquor license on the raffle out of probably 120. I was the first one to win it. I was the first
sign.
chosen. I say, hey, the brokers start calling me, hey, you were the number one, so you get to get the license. Now this is the process. Boom. Was happy, so finally I'm gonna bring Mezcal to. Now it's Mezcal.
Because you want to introduce Mezcal, because nobody at the time, everybody was nervous because it was a smoky spirit. It wasn't approachable to a lot of palates.
Exactly.
Tequila, took over the market. Then you had the Casamigos that was competing with Patron, and the margarita is one of the top selling drinks
The Julio
in all of the
yeah.
all of the world, to be honest. And then you wanted to take another battle on. I think when you started with the liquor license, you did 70% tequila with the menu,
Correct.
and 30% mezcal, just to not shock people.
Exactly.
And then with how many months or less than a year, right?
Less than a year, we switched everything to Mezcal.
Right, it was like 70-30.
Yeah, everybody was, right, what's Mezcal, what's this? We started, learning and also sharing that learning experience to people, learning about the brands, learning about the labels, learning about the different agaves, appreciating the Mezcal more because I wasn't an expert at the time. I started learning with you, learning with other people, being very professional about it. And I said, this is what I want to do. Even people say, Mezcal, nobody likes Mezcal. Like,
Right, that's
it's
what
LA.
we meant. Because I think that the idea was like you had this vision. It's like if you go there, you go all the way in or you don't do it at all.
Correct.
Why bother?
Exactly.
Right? And for the people that don't know what the difference between mezcal and tequila is, I don't know if you want me to explain or so, for tequila, there's one agave that they could use. It's the Blue Weber agave that takes 7 to 9 years. For mezcal, there is over 156 that they could use right now, and they're constantly discovering more. There are two different methods of cooking it. For mezcal, the most noticeable one is they do underground fire pits, and that's what gives it the smoky flavor. Technically, in history, mezcal was before tequila.
Yes, I call it the father of tequila.
It's the father of tequila, which a lot of people don't know. right? And not all mezcal are smoky.
Correct.
Which is another misconception that most people don't know. So I think at the Nopal, you made sure you chose a good mezcal that was like middle of the road in your cocktails to not shock people's palates. And then eventually, as your guests were evolving, you were evolving your program with them.
Correct. That's when I met you, and then you became with this beautiful bar program, and then just people got in love. And it was a perfect combination of great food, cozy place.
Yeah, small. How many seats?
It's only 40 seats, including the patio.
Really small.
Really small, 1,700 square feet, but it has 280 plus bottles now.
Yeah, I remember we had a bottle of Grey Goose just in case because we were nervous. We're doing the whole menu is agave, tequila, and mezcal. Or the cocktails, like 90% of the bar was agave products. And we had this bottle of Grey Goose. I remember 2 months later, nobody had touched the bottle. And we're like, we're doing something right. I think that was my realization of like, we're not as hard-headed as we thought we were or as risky as we thought we were. You actually created a culture and experience.
Correct.
And there was something there.
And until now, it's you order vodka or you order whiskey there, you order a bottle, it doesn't sell.
Yeah,
all they want is just mezcal there.
So 2 years later, obviously business doubles in sales. 2 years later, how many square footage? 1,500 square footage.
1,700
square footage location pays for the 7,000 square footage location, which we're here now.
Yes.
I remember you said, "Facer, let's do this again." And it's such a massive project. I remember being nervous. But you were so calm. You've done this before. You've done operations. You've done everything. Mistakes. You've done the right thing. And now we are challenged with a new project. I remember having a conversation with you saying, remember we said like go big or go home.
Yes.
Are we going to be the biggest, or are we just going to be another
place?
Right, another destination. But the food is great. You're introducing people, and you said let's go big. Remember, our goal was always to be the biggest mezcaleria, introducing the Oaxacan culture the right way without cutting any corners, without saving any ingredients. Everything was fresh squeezed. I know you get your cheese from Oaxaca.
The cheese.
The moles, you make them here in-house.
We make them here. We make the ingredients, the tortillas, the peppers, the chocolate.
Which is more expensive, but you're never going to compromise in that.
No, because what I want to provide my guests is what I'm going to be comfortable eating. If I don't feel comfortable with a recipe, with an ingredient, I might as well. If I don't need it, why they should eat it? It's about the bottom line, I guess, as a business, but it's also your reputation.
Absolutely.
And also the compromise that you have your guests.
Yeah. And another compromise we had was don't ever make anything too expensive because you don't want this to be a once a month location.
Correct.
You want people to come 2 to 3 times a week and not hurt their bottom line, their budget. We make cocktails affordable, and food is great, affordable. It comes very fast.
And it's easy to the cocktails. They're easy to understand. They're classics. I think that was your guidance. Just focus on the classics: Paloma, Margarita. Don't do any innovation.
Don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, exactly.
Introduce the wheel.
Just improve the basics, and that's what we did. And still the smoky margarita, the regular margarita, and the Paloma are the best sellers.
Made with fresh juice. People don't know how much effort goes into that. You have a guy that's juicing for 2 hours to make that margarita.
Actually, now we have a guy that's juicing for 5 hours.
How many limes you have to juice all day?
Yeah. So people don't know what's behind the scene.
Why?
To make it right and to try to make it right. But it's a lot of effort, a lot of teamwork, a lot of long hours, a lot of people working very hard in the kitchen as well. With this industry in restaurant right now, the kitchen is the biggest problem as far as finding the right people.
How do you maintain people in this industry? Like how do you retain your good people? Because I know one of the biggest things I hear in California is everybody's bouncing from job to job, always thinking the grass is always greener on the other side.
Yes.
Well, that's never the case.
I think being competitor on the market as a concept, if they see that the concept is competitor or is one of the best, they're gonna stay there because they want to be the best. They have pride. And second, looking at the owners or the managers getting very involved. If the owner is here, that this guy or this person cares about the restaurant,
working just as hard as I am.
Exactly.
It's not on vacation.
Yeah,
Like I'm making money because there's a lot of anger in this industry. Everybody thinks that the owner makes so much more money than employees, or they forget about the risk.
No, because I always said, the first thing that I want to pay every month or every 2 weeks is my team members, my rents. Everything else will come after.
Right.
And
that's amazing.
I think with my team seeing me here on the stores every day, on the weekends, Cinco de Mayo, on Mother's Day, I'm here. They see, okay, I'm expecting a big day. I want to support you, even though I feel that you're capable enough, but I know there is gaps. So let's be the best by covering you back all the time. And then when they see us in these magazines and articles or people like you, talking about this concept, they see, we're part of the best team, in LA. And then not only in LA, but even when I go to Oaxaca, a lot of people have recognition for Madre now. Like, oh, you're from Madre. I heard about this restaurant. And that made me really proud, but I also have more commitments and more compromise with my guests.
Right. And also your culture.
Yeah, my culture.
You can't misrepresent them.
Exactly. And then I think until now, I get some recognitions from the Oaxacan people, from the government. We are one of the ambassadors for Vive Mezcal, which is a big project in Oaxaca. They called me, they visited me here from Oaxaca. Now I'm one of the 2 ambassadors for this project in LA. And all the media wants to be here, like, different channels.
That's
talking
amazing.
about the
And
story.
I've seen a lot of it. I've seen parts of your story as well. Like, you give people a little bit of your story. I think this is, thank you for sharing all of this with us.
No, my pleasure. And thank you for being here. And thank you for enjoying some mezcal with me.
I want to wrap it up because the idea of this videos is to show people that want to get their first job in the industry or that are in their first job. What is the advice that you could give someone that's just starting, either as a busboy or bartender? And because it's a beast, it's a different beast than a corporate job. So what advice that from what you're seeing now you would give people?
Don't listen to negative facts. Don't listen to people with bad experience. Always follow your heart.
It's a big,
Follow good advice from good people. Always listen to people that have more experience than you. Just follow your heart. Work as you were the owner. My boss always told me, if you want to be a boss, act like a boss. If you want to be a manager and you are not a manager, act like a manager. I want to see you there. If you want to be the best bar director and you're a bartender, act like the best bar director. Even though you are not getting paid or you're not getting recognition, you're going to get there. And then I worked as a restaurant owner for 15 years for someone else.
You were acting.
And I was acting. And now for me, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy.
You're a really good actor.
In a good way.
You have 2 restaurants now.
Yeah. And then if I want to open another one, yeah, it has the challenges, but I know how to do this because I've been doing this since I was 17 years old. But just act like the one that you want to be. And don't listen to other people, oh, you're working too much and you're only getting paid the minimum wage. This is the school. This is the school.
You're getting paid to go to school.
You're getting paid for go to school.
If you go to school to college, you are paying someone to go to college, and you still don't have a job.
And you don't have the money to open your restaurant.
Right.
You will get people with money to open their restaurant.
And you work for them.
Unless you get great tips as a bartender, as a server, or great salary as a manager, start saving, getting all the experience, boom, you get the combo.
I like
Go
that.
for it.
I like that. I heard that in New York. It says you act or pretend of who you want to be. The city is open. It's an open template. You decide who you want to be and you will become that.
Correct.
So it's amazing to hear that again.
Yeah, if you start looking for something and you really want something, after you get to one level, the universe will give you everything. You keep searching. I'm searching for another restaurant right now.
Oh, that's good.
But I want to be smart where I want to open it.
You heard it here first. That's
so
amazing.
I know the universe will give you that because I'm looking for
You
it,
put it
but I'm
out
also
there.
being very disciplined in my business. You know, you gotta have discipline.
Don't stretch yourself too thin, right? Is that what
Exactly.
you're referring to?
So just be disciplined. Don't go too big without the right help. Have the right people behind you. But if you're gonna start working in a restaurant, just act like what you wanna be. If you wanna be the best general manager and you're a cashier, start getting.
Take the responsibility.
Take the responsibility. Take the initiative.
Yeah, even if you're not getting paid for it, just go for it.
I used to work off the clock several hours just to learn the inventory and all the maintenance and all this stuff.
And look where that ended up.
Exactly.
One last thing, if you could mention the 2 restaurants that you have, the address, that would be amazing. And then
Sure. The first one is our baby, Madre on National Boulevard, 10426 National Boulevard in Palms area. The second one, which is going to be 2 years now next month, or this month, it's Madre in Torrance, 1261 Cabrillo Boulevard, Torrance, California, 90501, with the biggest mezcal selection in the States.
over 450, I think.
420 now.
420 agaves
Agaves.
behind the back bar. We're gonna shoot that after, so please, continue to watch the video. And again, thank you for taking this time. And I know right now it's lunch, and you took the time with us to.
No, it's a pleasure.
And to open up and tell us so many personal things. Like,
Thank you.
That to me is huge.
It's always good to share and see other people growing in the business too.
This will be amazing. I think it will help a lot of people.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gracias.
¿Qué te pareciste?
Está
Ni lo
riquísimo.
probaste, ¿verdad?
No.
Bueno, con la plática casi no.
Está bien. Lo único que yo creo que cortamos es lo de workers' comp. Porque estamos muy angry. Porque yo también me vuelvo así con ciertas cosas. Entonces lo tenemos más positivo.
No, es tu
Pero puta, qué historia, güey.
es tu show. Y eso es la mitad, güey.
Es como para que digan, no se quejan, maricas.
Sí, no sé qué, güey.
No sé qué.
No, es
Qué
la mitad,
culo,
güey.
güey.
Porque si tú me empiezas a preguntar, hay más de mi vida, pero...
No, ¿cómo conseguiste tu social? ¿Qué pasó después de la cárcel? O sea, como la primera. Yo no sabía que había sido.
Sí, bueno, no me pasó en la cárcel, güey. O sea,
Te tomaron todas tus.
me agarraron el DMV. Y el DMV tiene un cuarto para arrestados. Me llevó el detective así como pinche detective Capone. Pinche saco un viejito, me acuerdo. Nunca me voy a olvidar de esa cara, güey.
Qué miedo tan
O
verdad.
sea, yo estaba esperando tú eres el...
Tú dices, ya me deportan.
No, güey. Y me dijo la secretaria, okay, wait for a minute, I'm gonna make a copy.
Y viene este güey y te
Y yo estaba de espaldas y me toca. Dice, ¿yo Ivan Vasquez? Y yo, yes. Pues me arrestó ahí, solo. Me lleva al cuartito y ya, pues todo el pedo, ¿no? Yo le pago al güey y pues me dijo que yo necesito la licencia.